Far below the reach of sunlight, beyond the blue gradients where most life fades into darkness, something ancient moves. It does not glide like a shark. It does not hunt like one either. And for decades, scientists believed they understood it, until its jaws moved. Not just opened, but launched. And everything we thought we knew about this deep-sea predator began to unravel. The creature is known as the goblin shark, a name that sounds almost mythical, and for good reason. Its scientific name, Mitsukurina ostoni, places it in a lineage so ancient that it is often called a living fossil. A survivor from a time when dinosaurs still ruled the surface world. But the goblin shark doesn't live in our world. It inhabits the deep ocean, typically between 200 and 1,300 meters below the surface, where sunlight vanishes and pressure becomes crushing. Here, evolution follows very different rules. Its body is pale, almost ghost-like, with a pinkish hue caused by blood vessels showing through translucent skin. Its snout is long and flattened, like a blade. Its eyes are small, almost reduced, because sight is nearly useless in the dark. At first glance, it appears sluggish, almost fragile. But this is an illusion, because hidden within its skull is one of the most extreme feeding mechanisms ever discovered in the animal kingdom. For years, the goblin shark puzzled marine biologists. Unlike fast predators like the great white shark or agile hunters like the mako shark, the goblin shark seemed poorly built for pursuit. Its muscles are soft. Its body is flabby. Its swimming speed is slow. So how does it catch prey in the vast, empty darkness of the deep sea? The answer, it turns out, lies not in speed, but in precision engineering. In 2008, researchers captured high-speed footage of a goblin shark feeding for the first time. What they saw defied expectation. As prey approached, the shark's jaws did something no one anticipated. They didn't just open. They shot forward. Explosively. Violently. Almost like a mechanical device being released under tension. In a fraction of a second, the jaws extended outward, projecting from the skull to snatch prey at a distance. Then, just as quickly, they snapped back into place. It was unlike anything previously observed in sharks, and it raised an unsettling question. Was this even a normal jaw? Or something else entirely? Most sharks rely on biting force. Their jaws are powerful but relatively fixed in position. When they strike, they must bring their entire body close to their prey. The goblin shark doesn't. Instead, it uses a mechanism known as slingshot feeding. Its jaws are connected to highly elastic ligaments and specialized muscles that store energy. When triggered, this stored energy releases suddenly, propelling the jaws forward at remarkable speed. The extension can reach up to 10% of the shark's body length. For a human, that would be like your jaw shooting forward nearly 20 centimeters. But the speed is even more astonishing. Studies suggest the jaws can extend and retract in as little as a quarter of a second. In the deep sea, where encounters are rare and prey is scarce, missing a meal can mean death. So the goblin shark evolved a solution: don't chase the prey. Bring your mouth to it. But the deeper scientists looked, the stranger it became. Because the goblin shark doesn't just have extendable jaws. It has a multi-phase attack system. First, the shark detects prey using electroreception, tiny sensory organs embedded in its elongated snout. These organs can detect faint electrical signals produced by other animals. In total darkness, this is more reliable than sight. Once prey is detected, the shark positions itself slowly, almost motionless. Then, without warning, the jaws deploy. But this isn't a simple forward motion. High-speed analysis revealed multiple stages. The lower jaw drops downward. The upper jaw shifts outward. Ligaments stretch and release. And the entire jaw apparatus rotates slightly as it extends. It is not just fast. It is coordinated, almost like a biological machine. What's even more surprising is that this mechanism appears to be far more advanced than in any other shark species. Some sharks, like the sand tiger shark, have slightly protrusible jaws. But nothing comes close to the goblin shark. Its jaw extension is longer, faster, and more mechanically complex, which raises a profound evolutionary question. Why did the species develop such an extreme adaptation, while others did not? To understand that, scientists turn to the goblin shark's environment. The deep sea is not just dark. It is empty. Food is unpredictable. Encounters with prey are rare and brief. In such an environment, traditional hunting strategies break down. Speed is less useful when there's nothing to chase. Strength is less useful when opportunities are scarce. Instead, evolution favors efficiency, precision, and the ability to capitalize instantly on rare encounters. The goblin shark's jaws are not just a weapon. They are a solution to a very specific problem. How do you catch something when you may only get one chance? But even this explanation wasn't enough. Because when scientists began comparing goblin sharks to their fossil relatives, something unexpected emerged. The goblin shark belongs to a lineage that dates back over 100 million years. Fossils of ancient relatives show similar elongated snouts, similar tooth structures. But the extreme jaw projection seen in modern goblin sharks appears to be more refined, more exaggerated, almost as if the mechanism continued evolving long after the lineage itself stabilized. This challenges the idea of the goblin shark as a static, living fossil. Instead, it suggests something more dynamic. An ancient blueprint, still being modified by modern evolutionary pressures. And then came the most puzzling discovery of all. The jaws of the goblin shark don't just extend far. They extend with variable speed. In some recorded strikes, the extension is rapid and explosive. In others, it is slower, more controlled. This suggests that the shark may be able to modulate its attack based on the situation. A level of control that implies a far more sophisticated neuromuscular system than previously assumed. In other words, this is not just a reflex. It may be a decision. But how does a deep-sea predator, living in near total darkness, make such precise decisions? That question remains unanswered. And it opens the door to something even more intriguing. Because the goblin shark's brain, though not fully studied, is believed to be adapted for processing sensory input in ways we still don't fully understand. Its elongated snout, packed with electroreceptors, may provide a detailed map of its surroundings, built entirely from electrical signals. A world we cannot see. A world we can barely imagine. And within that invisible landscape, the goblin shark hunts. There is something almost unsettling about it. A creature that does not rely on sight. A predator that does not chase. A jaw that behaves more like a mechanical device than a biological structure. It forces us to reconsider what we think of as normal in evolution. Because in the deep sea, normal does not exist. And yet, despite all we have learned, the goblin shark remains one of the least understood sharks in the world. Most observations come from accidental catches. Brief glimpses. Moments of study before the animal disappears back into the depths. We do not know how often it feeds. We do not know how it reproduces. We do not even know how many exist. But we do know this. Something about its jaws is still not fully explained. Because the more scientists analyze the mechanics, the more they begin to suspect that this system may be even more advanced than it appears. Not just an adaptation, but possibly one of the most efficient predatory mechanisms ever evolved in the ocean. And if that's true, then the goblin shark is not just a curiosity of the deep. It is a glimpse into a completely different way of being a predator. One shaped not by speed or strength, but by timing, precision, and a single, decisive moment. But the story doesn't end here. Because recent research has begun to uncover something even stranger about these jaws. Something that challenges our understanding of how they function and why they evolved in the first place. Something that suggests we may have been looking at the goblin shark the wrong way all along. And what scientists are discovering next may change everything. For decades, the goblin shark's jaws were seen as a mechanical marvel. A biological spring. A slingshot. An elegant solution to the problem of hunting in darkness. But as researchers continued to study the goblin shark, a new and unexpected question began to emerge. What if the jaws weren't just about reaching prey, but about controlling it in ways we don't yet fully understand? The shift in thinking began with a closer look at the timing of the strike. High-speed footage revealed something subtle, but deeply unusual. The jaws didn't simply extend and snap shut. They hesitated, just for a fraction of a second, long enough to suggest that something more complex was happening between detection and capture. In most predatory animals, the sequence is simple: detect, capture. But in the goblin shark, the sequence appears to stretch, almost as if the animal is adjusting mid-attack. Researchers noticed that during certain strikes, the jaw extension slowed slightly just before full projection. Not enough to miss the prey, but enough to imply control. It was as if the shark wasn't just launching its jaws blindly. It was guiding them. To understand this, scientists turned their attention to the internal structure of the jaws themselves. And what they found was surprising. The goblin shark's jaw ligaments are not just elastic. They are layered, complex, capable of storing and releasing energy in stages. This means the jaw isn't powered by a single explosive release, but potentially by a sequence of micro-releases, a cascade, each one fine-tuning the movement as it unfolds. This discovery reframed everything, because it suggested that the goblin shark's jaws might not be a simple mechanical system, but a dynamic one, a structure capable of both speed and adjustment, power and precision. And suddenly, the question changed. Not, how far can the jaws extend? But, how precisely can they strike? In the deep sea, precision is everything. Prey is often small, soft-bodied, and capable of detecting disturbances in the water. A single miscalculation, a slight overshoot, a poorly timed snap, and the opportunity vanishes. So the goblin shark may have evolved something extraordinary, a jaw system that doesn't just maximize reach, but minimizes error. And then came another layer of mystery: the teeth. At first glance, goblin shark teeth appear delicate, thin, almost fragile compared to the serrated blades of predators like the tiger shark. But under microscopic analysis, scientists discovered something fascinating. The teeth are arranged in a way that creates a kind of cage when the jaws close. Instead of slicing through prey, they trap it, hold it, prevent escape. This aligns perfectly with the idea of precision over power. The goblin shark is not designed to tear apart large animals. It is designed to capture elusive ones: small fish, squid, deep-sea organisms that can vanish in an instant. Its entire feeding system, from detection to jaw mechanics to tooth structure, appears to be built around a single principle: don't lose the target. But perhaps the most surprising discovery came from studying the goblin shark's snout. That long, flattened extension, once thought to be little more than a sensory organ, may play a far more active role in the hunt. Packed with electroreceptors, the snout can detect the faint electrical fields produced by living organisms. But recent studies suggest it may also help the shark estimate distance. Not through vision, but through gradients in electrical signals. Imagine a world where you don't see shapes. You feel them. Where distance is not measured in light, but in intensity. Where a moving creature creates a shifting electrical pattern that you can interpret in real time. In such a world, the goblin shark's jaws are not striking blindly. They are striking based on a continuously updated sensory map. A map that exists entirely beyond human perception. And that may explain the hesitation. That tiny pause before full extension. It may not be hesitation at all. It may be calculation. A final adjustment. A moment where the shark refines its aim based on the latest sensory input. And then, the strike completes. If this interpretation is correct, then the goblin shark is doing something remarkable. It is integrating sensory data and motor control in real time during one of the fastest movements in the animal kingdom. A level of coordination that challenges our assumptions about deep-sea life. Because we tend to think of the deep ocean as slow, primitive, unchanging. But the goblin shark suggests something very different. A world of subtlety, of specialization, of hidden complexity. And yet, the mysteries don't end there. Because not all goblin sharks appear to use their jaws in exactly the same way. Specimens observed in different regions, such as those near Japan and others found in the Atlantic, show slight variations in jaw extension patterns. Some extend farther. others faster. Some appear to rely more heavily on rapid projection, while others exhibit more controlled strikes. This raises a fascinating possibility. Could there be behavioral variation within the species? Different hunting strategies adapted to different environments? Or even subtle evolutionary divergence occurring within what we consider a single species? At depths where observation is rare, such questions are incredibly difficult to answer. But they hint at a level of diversity we are only beginning to glimpse. Then there is the question of energy. In the deep sea, energy is everything. Every movement must be efficient, every action justified. The goblin shark's jaw mechanism, while incredibly effective, must also be costly. Storing elastic energy, maintaining specialized ligaments, coordinating complex strikes. All of this requires resources. So why evolve such an elaborate system? The answer may lie in the rarity of opportunity. If feeding events are infrequent, then each one must succeed. There is no room for failure. In this context, an expensive but highly reliable mechanism becomes not just beneficial, but necessary. And yet, despite all these insights, one fundamental mystery remains unresolved. How did this system evolve in the first place? The goblin shark's ancestors, preserved in the fossil record, show early signs of jaw protrusion, but nothing approaching the extreme seen today. There is a gap, a missing chapter in the evolutionary story, a transition we have not yet found. Some scientists speculate that incremental changes, slightly longer ligaments, slightly faster extensions, gradually accumulated over millions of years. Others propose that environmental shifts in the deep sea may have accelerated the process. But without direct evidence, these remain hypotheses. And the true origin of the goblin shark's extraordinary jaws remains hidden, somewhere in the depths of time. There is also the question of limits. How far can this system go? Is the goblin shark already at the peak of its evolutionary potential? Or could it continue to evolve